What is up, enthusiasts? It is Cedar Flags here, and welcome back to another one of my videos. So it has been a while since I have made a general never built video. Now I've made a few videos that retain to the series, like my Cedar Point Sister Park video, but I have not made an official installment in months. And I am back with another. And let me just say that making this series is like digging in a gold mine. I keep finding lost attraction after lost attraction after lost attraction. There is so much to explore, and I'm sure I have only scratched the surface. I look for authenticity, and I find so many different articles on so much forgotten real estate in the past few decades. So let's look at some more forgotten amusement attractions. These are some more amusement attractions or entire parks that were forgotten, proposed, but never built, whether it be for financial reasons or concerns. So let's get right into it. This is Cedar Flags, and today I am continuing my Never Built series, and this is part 6. We are going to be starting off in the Bluegrass state with Bluegrass Boardwalk. So our story starts all the way back in the 1980s with a small park by the name of Kentucky Kingdom, which opened up in the grounds of the Kentucky Expo Center, and it was generally themed around the state of Kentucky. It was a great park and a great hit, though in later years in the 1990s it was bought out by Six Flags, and it continued to expand all the way up until the late 2000s when Six Flags filed bankruptcy and ended up selling the park. The park stood SB&O for a few years, and as we know in our timeline, Ed Hart saved the park. It reopened in 2014 and still operates today under Hirsch & Family Entertainment. But did you know that this was not the only attempt to save Kentucky Kingdom? In the early 2010s, before Ed Hart, the family that owns Holiday World approached the property. They said that they wanted to propose a brand new park in the area, utilizing some of the older attractions, and name it Bluegrass Boardwalk. This would be generally themed to the state of Kentucky, like the original idea of Kentucky Kingdom. Though when Six Flags bought the park, they decided to put some of their theming in instead. This would restore the theme and give more of, well, a Holiday World vibe, including free soda, which honestly is one of the best parts of Holiday World. Anyways, this was a great idea from the start. Eventually though, a loss of interest grew and a lack of upkeep went through, and they realized that the park was not in a good condition to reopen. So they decided to pull out of the project. But luckily for the property that holds Kentucky Kingdom, Ed Hart came in and saved the park for its own. And to this day, it operates very well. So, moving from Kentucky to Canada, we are going to be talking about Canada's Wonderland. If you don't know about this park, this is a very popular park located in Vaughan, Ontario, near Toronto. It's currently owned by Cedar Fair and has a plethora of flat rides and roller coasters. But did you know that this park was originally going to have a roller coaster that's not there? Yes, this park was originally going to sport a brand new B&M invert. Now, if you don't know, back in the 1990s, this park was owned by Paramount, which owned a bunch of parks all across the United States and Canada's Wonderland in Canada. And one of those parks was Great America, located in California, where they added Top Gun, now known as Flight Deck, in 1993. One of the first B&M inverts, it shocked people from all over the world with its forceful transitions and very smooth layout. In Canada's Wonderland, a sister park was thinking of doing the same. But Cedar Point for the 1994 season added Raptor, a state-of-the-art B&M invert that would be the tallest and fastest at the time. And with that, they had a clause. They had an exclusivity contract, which was to restrict within a certain radius a B&M inverted coaster. And apparently, Canada's Wonderland was just barely in that radius. Basically, what Cedar Point was saying was, you can't build a B&M invert too close to us. And they determined that Canada's Wonderland was too close. So instead, they went with the cheaper option, the Vekoma SLC, now known today as Flight Deck. And, well, let's just say that a ride like Flight Deck at California's Great America gets way more positive reviews than Canada's Wonderlands. So, if you're a country music fan, you may know about two older country artists, Dolly Parton and Charlie Daniels, the lead singer of the Charlie Daniels Band. Both of these singers had something in common. They both wanted to start an amusement park. As you know, Dolly Parton was successful, but Charlie Daniels, not so much. But it's interesting to see what his plan was going to be. The lead singer of The Devil Went Down to Georgia was a very popular artist at the time, but in the early 90s, he was planning on something huge. He was going to go down to Florida to make a crazy park. So let's talk about it. It was going to be called Charlie Daniels Western World. Inspired by Dollywood, he wanted to compete with Disney. So let's get into some of the details. It was located in Newport Richey, Florida, and it was settled on a 3,000-acre plot of land. It featured a country music dinner theater, an 8,000-seat rodeo arena, a 36-hole golf course, a 500-room hotel, several stores and restaurants throughout a shopping district. Basically, it was a mini city. And in that mini city, it had a theme park. Now, we don't know too much about the park, but we do have some early renderings, which feature a roller coaster in the background, looks to be wooden, and a beautiful riverside setting. It was also mentioned that The Devil Went Down to Georgia was going to have its own show within the park. The park wouldn't be too big, but the area around it having the entertainment, it would be massive. This would have been a very scenic park, similar to Dollywood and Disney World, and we could easily tell that the amusement park wasn't necessarily the main attraction here, but nonetheless, it would have been another amusement park, confirmed with at least one or two roller coasters. Now, unfortunately, we really don't know what happened after this, but we could assume that it was a little too big for the project to continue going. Johnny won the fiddle battle, but unfortunately, they did not win this. They say that everything is bigger in Texas, and that couldn't be more true for this final park resort. I think if this resort was built, it would definitely rival with parks like Universal and Disney. This would be one of the defining parks within the United States. Let's get into it. If you don't know, Houston does not have a major park, and hasn't had one since 2005 when Astroworld shut its doors. But there was a proposal and a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel that we never reached. Let's get into it. In June of 2007, a new amusement park in the Houston metro area was announced. It would be a few miles north of the city and the suburb of New Caney, and it would be a 1,600-acre resort, including hotels, shops, a water park, and a 200-acre amusement park, featuring 50 rides and several roller coasters. But most of all, the theming was extremely impressive. It included a nature preserve, a volcano, and an ice cave, all artificial of course. But there weren't really updates coming in the next few years. No signs of construction, just a billboard on the side of the freeway. But in 2010, they announced that they would defund the project. So, eventually, the company ended up filing for bankruptcy and the project was scrapped. Needless to say, this was around 2008-2009. We all know what happened that year when it came to property to investment, and it didn't go too well. Either that or this project was freaking massive. Let's talk about some of the renderings, at least from 2007. So what could have this park had if it ended up succeeding? Well, from the art, we could see a log flume style ride, a river rapids ride, a Huss top spin, a tower ride similar to Windseeker at Cedar Point or Sky Screamers at Six Flags Parks, a smaller family style blue coaster, a possible bobsled coaster or a tracked thrill ride, a low to the ground mine train coaster, the water park featuring a bull slide and multiple slide complexes, and then the large coasters. We see a large Intamin style roller coaster with a top hat. We could honestly assume that this was an Intamin Blitz or accelerator coaster. And then we see a white looping coaster, which could have possibly been a B&M invert or floorless coaster. And looking at these renderings, it really is sad that we never got to see the light of day with this project. So, what do you think the coaster industry would be like nowadays with parks like the Charlie Daniels Park and EarthQuest Adventures? What would it be like at Canada's Wonderland with a B&M invert? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, comment, subscribe. This is Cedar Flags, and I'll see you all later.